Hi, my name is Annalise Sansusi, and I am the Cancer Resource Center and Volunteer Coordinator in the section of Psycho-Oncology with the Department of Supportive Oncology at Levine Cancer Institute. In this video series, we will be interviewing care partners at LCI. These videos are intended for care partners of LCI patients. We hope that by the end of this video, you will have learned something from this person's experience and feel better supported and encouraged to be a care partner for a person dealing with cancer. Thank you so much, Joanne and Paul, for joining us today. We really appreciate having you here on our Chronicles of the Care Partner YouTube video series. And we were excited to hear about your story. So why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm a caregiver for my wife for about 8 years. She had a stem cell transplant done about 1,500 miles away from our home. So I was the choice of all to come by and be a caregiver. So
No, you were alone, which wasn't easy. I'm a caregiver now of my husband. He's been diagnosed with pancreatic stage 4 cancer. It's been almost 1.5 years, and he's doing excellent. Everything's good. And we were pretty much in a routine of treatment, infusions. Our kids would come while we were at infusions and drop off food, and we were kind of in a thing. And then COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And once COVID hit, I couldn't go. I couldn't be there. So it's like, does he take himself? Do I pick him up? Is he feeling good enough to, make it home from treatment? We went through that process, which was different than mine because I was in walking distance of the hospital and he's driving and COVID was going on. So it made a difference being with COVID. That's kind of put a glitch in things. So.
Yeah, definitely. And now, Paul, why don't you take me back to when Joanne was first diagnosed? What was that like for you? What were some of the first things that you thought about when that happened?
Well, we were just, freshly retired from working, and all of a sudden I just couldn't believe that everything was turned upside down as far as Joanne getting sick. Never believed that she was a healthy woman, but all of a sudden she had a blood, amyloidosis that just hit her. I said, this is unreal. So it really blew my mind at the fact that we had to go through a stem cell transplant in order to give her a chance of getting better.
Yeah, and that being so far away from home too. I mean, that's challenging. And so you were the only one with her during that time, correct?
Yeah, we were in a hotel room with Marriott, which was decent because they had a pool and weight room and laundry facilities. But yeah, we were 1,500 miles away from home, without any friends, without any family. I mean, we did a lot of FaceTiming with our family, but
well, and we were lucky. Like our daughter-in-law kind of took charge of notifying everybody. She just took charge so that we didn't have that constant worry and of who didn't know and who wants to know the update. She just did it for us, which was nice. And our one son flew up for the initial diagnosis and what the plan would be. Mm-hmm. So, but other than that, we were on our own. Yeah. We had Christmas and New Year's in a hotel room. So it was kind of a little bit weird.
We had a Charlie Brown tree.
Yeah, we did.
See, and you got to do those little things that you can to make it better, right?
Right.
It was, in fact, the tree my girlfriend sent to us, it was a live tree, and I wasn't allowed after the stem cell transplant to have live trees. And we'd gotten friends with the girl at the desk, so it was a small tree, and she just built a house, and she took the tree and planted it. And when I go back and check every year, it's still there. She's still living there. So it's kind of,
That's really sweet. That's really
kind of neat. It's kind of a neat thing.
So, Paul, when all of this was going on, it sounds like, some people kind of in your care team, for lack of better words, with, children, daughter-in-law, sounds like some people kind of knew what to expect. Did you have any idea what to expect when you were?
No, I come from a little bit of a medical background. My mom was an RN, and I've been first responder for the military and for the postal system, my last job. So I knew that, blood didn't bother me. Being sick didn't bother me a person, except for, being so close as we are. So I knew I had to step up and learn a lot more than I read first for being first responder. But so that's but as far as knowing what to expect, I didn't have a I didn't have a question. I was lost. I was a deer in the headlights.
Yeah. Well, and so Joanne, let's kind of switch a little bit. And so now, once Paul was diagnosed, tell me kind of a little bit how you felt about that. And, what did, having this experience before, do you feel like you knew what to expect as a care partner, or was it different?
I think it's really different in every situation. Everybody, you can give advice, but I think until you really get going yourself, you don't understand it. To me, it's harder to be the caregiver than the patient.
Mm.
I really think, the patient knows what's going on with their body. The caregiver, you're kind of out there, wondering if you're doing the right thing. And it's hard to know if you're doing, you don't want to be over the top protective, but yet you want to, it's kind of you're trying to find that happy medium. It's not easy.
Yeah, definitely. Paul, do you have that same thought?
I think I mean, what was overwhelming for me was the fact of all the medicine that Joanne was on at the time, or going beyond, and given to her different times of the day and night, and different days got different medicines. I mean, yeah, it was mind-boggling. It was to a point where, I mean, I just hope and pray I did it right. And I mean, I guess I did, because she's still here.
Yeah, you did good.
Well, and one thing we just learned, because my granddaughter had some surgery, we didn't have this, and it's something that I think is an advantage now, is your iPhones can be programmed so that you know when to take medicines. They can be put in different times, and you know when to take different things. And I wish we'd had that then.
Yeah.
Because, some things were 6 hours, some things were 4 hours, some were 8. And I, as a patient, was not good with that.
Yeah.
He would say, I'm due for medicine. Well, I'd slept 4 hours, and I'd say, no, I just took it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he didn't always have a easy time with me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a fun question. Who's the better patient here?
Well, we won't touch that one. No.
Yes, I'm not a good patient. I'm not good. I'll admit it.
I mean, it sounds like so much about, the care partnering journey, and especially, you guys both having this unique perspective of being on both sides. It sounds like a lot of it is just kind of trying to understand the process, and so understand what that treatment plan is. Yeah.
I agree.
100% on that.
Yes. And a big thing is too, being organized.
Yep.
I didn't realize how so much of being organized mattered. Having telephone numbers of emergency numbers, especially nights and weekends, because that's when everything always goes wrong.
Yeah.
And, if you don't have a contact, and I didn't know what a nurse navigator was.
Mm-hmm.
That was an experience to learn. And that's somebody you really need to get to know when you're sick.
Yeah.
I think also, we've also found out that whatever the doctor says in your initial interview of what's the disease you have, you change it around. So the best thing we thought about was bring a tape recorder, or our youngest son came up and sat through a lot of that, because there were times I said one thing, I said, the doctor said this, and my son said, no, he said this.
Our son would tape it and we would disagree, and usually neither of us were right.
Well, but that's a really good point. So, as you guys are aware, my mom was just recently diagnosed, and and I've been trying to get on some of those phone calls because she's long distance, and I feel like it is so overwhelming for both people that are in that room, especially when you're talking about a spouse situation.
Right.
Because there have been times that I've asked questions and my dad's like, I don't remember, I think so, and like I'll have to go back with my mom and compare notes. So it sounds like having, and nowadays where we're used to having people on the phone in visits, that maybe a good piece of advice is to also have either your care partner with you and someone on the phone to
Right.
just kind of be there as that kind of outside voice to just get all of that in.
You're so stressed, and I think the terminology is so different. A lot of the words, you're not sure what they're saying, and then sometimes you feel foolish asking, what does it mean? And, you know, I've learned not to. I've learned just to ask any questions. It doesn't matter. If they think I'm foolish, let them.
Yeah. No, that's a huge thing, because there is, you always hear like there are no dumb questions. You feel like people say that all the time. Well, definitely in this situation, there are no dumb questions. It's a totally new world for everybody, and you're at the maximum level of stress you can be. Definitely like repeating, asking those questions, asking for clarification can be so important to just
And Atrium and Levine are good. When you leave, you usually have stuff in writing.
Yep.
A folder and things with numbers. They very, very good about putting that together for you. But just make sure you've got it handy, because you do use it. You do need it. You'll forget things.
Yeah.
Well, even pronunciation of some of the medicine and everything else that's thrown at you, that's mind-boggling. I mean, there are words that ask me to spell them, I get the dictionary out in order to do that, or go to Google. But I mean, it's also a mind-boggling deal right there, that you never heard these words before, and they're in a situation that you can't believe what's going on. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah. So what were some of the biggest maybe challenges you guys had, as care partners in these situations, and what were the things that helped you guys overcome those the most?
Well, I think medication is one of our biggest. My biggest was medication. We've never taken as many pills as
getting to appointments.
Yeah, getting to appointments.
It's really important. I think you get to know your portal, so that you can double check your appointments. Even though you get a call, lots of times there's several calls, because there's several things you have to do, and not getting them mixed up. You just want to make sure you're where you're supposed to be when.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The medicine was like Joanne said. I mean, try to keep track of 8 or 9 different medicines they give a person. You need that to be sat down and either write it out, or like Joanne said, on the phone is a great idea now.
Yeah.
Put a time in with what the medicines should be given and things like that.
And Paul, I think the hardest thing for he was fatigued, and he's so used to doing what he does and to keep things going in a household. And I think that was hard for me. I couldn't cure him, couldn't do anything about it, but he was frustrated that he couldn't do the things that he thought he should be doing.
Yeah.
So, that was hard. And with COVID, it wasn't like our son or daughter-in-laws could run in and do something. We couldn't have them in the house.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge that probably wouldn't have been quite so hard. They were good. They'd come sit on the back porch, they'd bring food, they'd do things, but it was different than in normal circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because first of all, you're dealing with something totally abnormal with cancer, and then you add a pandemic on top of it. There's just so much that goes on with that.
Yeah. And you're not seeing your friends like you could, you're on the phone or whatever, but you're not able to share emotions like you normally would. It's been a little struggle with that. And I think Paul probably had the same trouble because he was so far away from everyone.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. That's a great question too, because especially with you two in your scenario where you've both walked these cancer journeys, who do you go to for support for yourself? Or do you rely on each other, or do you still have support outside of each other?
Well, I think we have both.
We have both. We have a lot of family now around here, down in Fort Mill, South Carolina.
And Charlotte and Matthews.
Yeah, but we rely on our sons and
and each other.
Yeah.
And I think when you're a caregiver of some kind, I think you need an outlet. Like I read, he goes and works on cars. I think you've got to have something to do that is separate. We've been so isolated that I think you need something to get away.
And even when we were in the hotel room, that's why I was mentioning Marriott had a good swimming pool and stuff like that, which when she was napping, when she was awake a little bit, I used to go to the swimming pool and swim, and also the weight room. But they also had a laundry room to take care of your laundry instead of sending it out all the time. But again, we were in an area that's snowing. It was snowing quite hard all the time, so you couldn't go out for a walk.
Yeah.
And another thing that we learned is have comfortable clothing and have easy wash, easy dry clothing, because there's a lot that goes on when you're sick. And if that person the caregiver has to do lots of laundry or whatever, you want easy stuff. You don't want to be, doing things.
Light on iron.
Yeah.
You
Well,
shake twice and put it and hang it up somewhere.
And I think that's one good thing that the pandemic has done is it's normalized sweatpants and yoga pants. That's now comfortable attire. That's appropriate attire. So that's
gym shorts are great.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, and I love that you're talking a lot about these components of self-care. And doing it sounds like self-care and doing all of the little things that you can control to help make things easier. Like, okay, yeah, let's just wear the comfy clothes. Let's do that. But self-care is really huge for our care partners. And I feel like a lot of times care partners can feel guilty taking that time for themselves. And again, and then also, and what do I do for self-care? And so I love, Joanne, that yours was simple. I read a book, I take that time and do that. And I mean, what would you say to a care partner that's maybe new to this journey and is, well, I don't even know where to begin or what to do? What kind of advice would you have for them?
I would say to make sure you ask as many questions as possible. And if you're not involved in something, if you can't be involved, maybe your patient can be involved at some of the things that Levine offers, your music therapy, your different things that you have, then that gives the caregiver a break. It's really important that the caregivers stay healthy.
Yes.
And also if there's somebody that can give you a break, with COVID going on, it's been different, but if you can just go out for a walk and a neighbor is just aware that you're gone.
Yeah.
And also, I think also to have a backup person for the caregiver that, in case a caregiver does get sick or just gets exhausted and can't do it. I mean, Joanne's sister was the backup person that we went to if anything was going to happen.
She would fly out to us. But also before this happened, my husband had knee replacement while I was sick. So my daughter-in-law came over to stay because I couldn't be sick and take care of him. So, you need kind of in the back of your head somebody that's there for emergency sake. You hope you never have to contact them, but things do go crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. So you guys have had such an interesting journey together, and I love that you guys are able to stay so positive, even reflecting on these challenging times. Stem cell transplant is not easy, and then having another diagnosis is not easy. What encouragement do you have for our care partners? What are some just things that can help them maintain this positive outlook that you two have?
Well, I think that you need to keep communication open.
I think so too. And you need to tell each other what they're doing a good job. I mean, you don't
even
need to
if it's
criticize.
a daughter and
Right.
a mother.
Right.
You need to keep open with everything so that the other person knows the feelings.
Yeah, no criticism, just pick on the positive. And that's hard for a person who's sick. I mean, you're down anyways, and you're not, but even they've got to think, the caregiver's got to realize that they're doing a great job and that someone does appreciate them.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for taking this time to share your story. I just so appreciate it. And thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you for doing this. Appreciate this.
We
hope this
enjoy
helps somebody.
Yes, as long as it helps somebody, we're good.
Thanks for watching. For more information, visit us online, send us an email, or give us a call. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when new videos are released. And most of all, be well.